All right, so good morning. Today we're going to talk about we're kind of calling it the new SP100. It's kind of just an updated version of the existing SP100, which some of you may be familiar about. So we're not going to do like a deep dive into what the SP100 is and what the bypass is and all that. We're going to do more of what are some of the features and benefits and the things that were added to the new update. There is quite a few changes, so that's why we are doing this presentation. So we're going to start with, like, as I mentioned, some of the features and the new and existing features. So a lot of the HVAC functions that you guys are used to, as well as some of the new features that have been added. The design has been slightly changed. I think you'll notice that the design hasn't changed much, but there is some subtleties. We're going to discuss that. The capacity range has been expanded, so we'll show you guys the specifications, the higher horsepower ratings. We'll dive a little bit more into the specifications. I'll bring up the updated SP100 submittal. Competitive comparison, so kind of how we stack up with some of the common competitors that we've ran into out in the field. We do have some new technical materials we'll review, and we do have some marketing materials as well. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up all my notes here. So I like to have everything on the screen. So some of the noteworthy features, first off, this is a 3-contactor bypass. So this is stuff that's kind of the same as the older SP100, which that stock is just about depleted now. And we are getting in the stock for the new SP100. I think we already have some of these in stock now. So it's a 3-contactor bypass, the same as the older one. SCCR rating is 65 kA. It includes a standard DC link choke, a DC reactor. We still do have the auto transfer to bypass function, which you could enable in the keypad. So if the VFD trips out, you could have it automatically go to bypass. So that's an option right there. It has the built-in BACnet MSTP, built-in Metasys, and the built-in Modbus RTU. Or you could option out to get a BACnet IP card, which is a field-installed accessory. The package is in a NEMA 1 rating. You still have that standard HOA keypad. And you'll notice here we say it's the same keypad as the H100 Plus because we did update this to have H100 Plus features on this. So we have all the same existing features. The big update to this is that we added the H100 Plus. So that's the easiest way to tell if you have the new SP100 or the older one is you look on the keypad. If it's blue and says H100 Plus, you have the new SP100. We still do have that real-time clock on there, which provides timestamps for events such as trips, and you could also do the time event scheduling as well. Some other existing features are just common HVAC specific functions such as fire mode, speed search, damper control, motor preheat. We have the higher rated 5-amp relay outputs as well. Just to name a few. All right, so here's the new features. So all of the features that were on the H100 Plus are now on the SP100. So the SP100 utilizes the H100 Plus. So these are some key functions that people have been asking us for a while, and especially a lot of you guys on your meeting that your names look familiar. These are functions that you guys asked for. So we can now do lead lag with the bypass package. That was a common request. We could do no flow control. So that's like if you're doing a pumping application and you shut off a valve and all of a sudden you have like a deadhead situation. It's a way to put the drive to sleep. We could do the flow monitoring with the flow meter. We could do PI auxiliary control. So all the functions that are on the H100 Plus are now included on the SP100. So this includes pump overcycling protection, differential level detection with the dual feedbacks, low-high feedback detection, set pointing timeout, high current limit, thrust bearing control for submersible pumps, and it has the new and improved HOA keypad, which the buttons are remapped a little bit, as well as the updated sleep modes and wake up levels. Okay, so if we go back real quick, you'll see a lot of improvements to the PID loops, and a lot of pumping function added. And I think the biggest one is the top bullet point, the lead lag control we were not able to do on the SP100 that we've been selling up until now. So the new SP100 has all these features. Okay, so how do you get the new SP100? As I mentioned, these are in stock now, and you could order them. They do have a different item number. All right, so as I was mentioning, we do have new item codes for the new SP100s, and if you guys use our product finder or price sheets or whatever it is to find out item numbers, you'll see the description here has changed a little bit too. We did a good job. We put new, so it's the new SP100, and they put that it's an H100 Plus. So instead of having an H100 series drive, it's an H100 Plus. So that's the easiest way you could tell it's new. And then I'll show you in a slide or two that we do have an updated VFD catalog, which is really nice. And it actually has all the new SP100 numbers on there with the proper order code. So it should be pretty obvious that you're getting the new product. On the right side here is just the model number breakdown. The model numbers you'll find are pretty much the same as the old ones. So if you compare this top box to the bottom box, you'll see it still goes an LSLV 0220 SP100. So that's a 30 horsepower SP100-4 CEFD 3. So it's a 3-contactor bypass with a DC reactor on it. So it's the same base part number, but the item code changes and the description tells you it's new and includes the H100 Plus. So just be aware of that. Here's the notes. All right. So here is the this is a little snippet of the catalog, and I'll bring up the catalog later. And everything's pretty much the same, except the 30 and 40 horsepower models are the new models. So we've had a lot of applications where the 25 horsepower is not large enough for the 208 to 240 volt range. So we'd have to go with a special offering of a drive in a box, bypass contactors, and it would kind of be not that competitive, and it would have long lead times and stuff. One of the main advantages of the SP100 is these are on the shelf and you can get them really quick. So we expanded the capacities for 30 and 40 horsepower at the 200 volt class. Okay. The 480 volt class is exactly the same. So we go all the way up to 75 horsepower. Okay. One other thing to note, if you are not aware of it yet, is the smallest capacity we have is 7.5 horsepower, but you could actually take that 7.5 horsepower frame and you could actually run a 1.5 to 2 horsepower motor. So if you're ever running a small motor, feel free to give us a call, give us the full load amps. We would just want to make sure that the motor overload could go down enough with the dial to protect the motor. So that's the main limitation on small capacity motors on the SP100. So here's the good stuff is what's changed, what's new, what's different. So it does use the H100 Plus VFD. And so as I mentioned, all the H100 Plus features, all the functions, all the pumping stuff, the lead lag is now included on the SP100. So that's a really great improvement to the product line. This does have a new firmware. So those of you guys that are savvy enough to be aware of what the firmware differences are, 602.10 has the bypass functionality in it. That's going to be something that's obviously pre-programmed at the factory, but going forward, that's the number. The SCCR rating is a 65 kA. There was some primary transformer protection added, so there's an additional fuse on the low voltage circuitry inside of the box. There is a slight dimensional change, which I think will come up on the next slide. And here it is. So you can see the dimensions are pretty much the same. You have the same depth. You have the same height. The only thing that changed is the width. And it's a very minimal dimensional change. So it's pretty much gotten within 1/4 to 1/2 inch wider. So W1 here on this drawing is the total width. So you could see it went from like 6 1/4 to like 6.65 inches wide. Or it went from like the next frame size up is like 7 3/4 about to like 8 1/4. So the maximum dimensional change is 1/2 inch wider. So not much at all. One other thing you may note is that there's these little kind of heat louvers on the side. That's something new to the new SP100 design. So that's another obvious thing that is different from the old SP100. Just from, looking at the two side by side. So overall, the footprint has not changed much. And it's the same for the 480 volt. So that previous slide was the 230 volt. This is the 480 volt offering, and it's the same 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch increase on most of the frame sizes here. The overall height and depth is the same. So there should not be too many issues with taking up too much real estate. And I think overall, those of you guys that may have retrofitted some SP100s, it's typically smaller than a lot of the competition, and especially some of the older bypasses you may be replacing. It's a pretty small footprint. So here's just a kind of a competitive comparison of kind of where we stack up against the competition. So I didn't dive too deep into all the nitty-gritty specs. What I did is I picked out some of the important things that I feel like are very important for the HVAC market, with the first being capacity. So if you look at our capacity range for the 200 volt series, we could go up to 40 horse, and that starts at 2 horsepower. The 480 volt, we go up to 75 horse. So what I did is I put that in bold because we have the advantage over certain competitors listed on this table. So compared to the HV600 narrow bypass, we have a broader capacity. We also have a broader capacity over the ABB ACH 580, the VCR and VDR, which is the vertical series as well. So I kind of went vertical on all these to compare apples to apples. Same thing with the Danfoss vertical. You'll see they actually have a higher capacity than us, but we got a better capacity range of Mitsubishi, ABB, and Yaskawa. So I would consider that an advantage. Electronic bypass. So what does electronic bypass mean? You'll notice we don't have it, and I say that's an advantage. You're like, well, why is that an advantage? Shouldn't everything be electronic? Well, based on my experience, a lot of customers like mechanical bypasses because they're more simple. Based on my experience and a few other guys within my group, is when you have an electronic bypass, it kind of makes things complicated. And if you ever have a failure of that additional board, which makes the bypass electronic, it kind of makes the whole bypass not work. So you kind of lose your redundancy of the bypass when you have an issue with that. So I consider not having an electronic bypass a benefit. So you'll see most of the competition here uses electronic bypasses like Yaskawa and ABB. And then you'll see Danfoss and Mitsubishi, they have an optional one. So that's kind of more comparable to us, where you could order a mechanical bypass or you could option a electronic bypass. So I think that's an advantage for us. Internally sourced components for us, yes. If you open up one of our SP100s, you'll see it's mostly LS components, LS contactors, manual motor starters, circuit breakers. So I consider that an advantage because if you have an issue with one of those components, you're calling the same guys you would call for the VFD support if you need help starting up or troubleshooting. So we could help you troubleshoot those electrical components in the box. We could help send replacements if there's any failure. Whereas if you look at the competition here, most of them outsource it to a different supplier. So for example, Yaskawa uses Schneider, Danfoss, Mitsubishi, they may use another component, which might be very similar to ours. Next row we have here is the number of contactors. So if you guys ever dive into a building spec, some say you need a 3 contactor, some say 2, some don't specify. But in my opinion, I think having 3 contactors is advantageous because that 3rd contactor is the VFD isolation contactor. So if the drive ever fails on the front end, it's disconnected from the bypass completely. So you could still run into the bypass without removing wires from the shorted out VFD. So we offer the 3 contactor bypass as standard. You'll see some of these competitors are only 2, some are 3 standard, and some are 3 optional. So there's some variations there. Next one is utilizes communication network from bypass to control VFD. That is kind of going hand in hand with the electronic bypass. So if you have an electronic bypass, you have an extra board, and that board typically communicates to the VFD with serial communications. So sometimes that communication can fail, and then the whole bypass is done until you troubleshoot and get it working. So we have a mechanical bypass, so there's no extra boards. It's a very simple design. So I consider that an advantage over the competition as well. Enclosure types, most of the competitors have NEMA 1. That's the same rating as us, with the exception of Yaskawa. They do have a NEMA 12 option. And again, this is just considering like the over-under narrow type. If we looked at like the actual, like the square boxes with the cabinet that opens up, you could do 3R, you could do 12. There's some different variations. So I'm trying to keep it simple here. SCCR, this one is kind of, ours is 65 KA standard, and then the competition, it kind of depends. A lot of the guys will have an option for 100 KA, and what they'll do is they'll add a circuit breaker that gives you 100 KA, or they'll add some specific fuses on there that give you the high KA rating. So that's why I put on here, a lot of these guys have optional adders to get the higher KA rating. We were able to achieve 65 KA, no additional options, that's standard, and that should meet most specs that you guys run into. And the last line here is just warranty terms. So you'll see we're pretty comparable to the ABB and the Mitsubishi with the 2-year 24 months warranty. Yaskawa and Danfoss is a little bit less than 18 months. And then additionally, some of you guys may or may not know, we do offer a certified startup training. That's something we do on a quarterly basis. The next class is in July, I think middle of July. We do offer that class for free. And when you take the class and pass the test, then you're certified for a 4-year warranty. So you're getting a 2-year warranty extension for free just by taking the time to attend the class. So that's a nice kind of value added that we offer to you guys. All right, so here is some new and updated documents. So all these documents that I'm going to show you right here are actually in our new, somewhat new Solution Square. So the Solution Square is essentially our document center for all downloads, and it's our knowledge base for all of our automation components. So VFD bypasses are considered automation, so that's where you'll find information on there. So you can see on the screenshot here, I just searched SP100, and you'll find some documents. We have an updated submittal. So I know some of you guys have been asking almost on a weekly basis where the updated submittal is. So John made an updated submittal for this product, and so we're uploading that to our website. We do have an updated technical manual. So the SP100 manual it's very short. It's like 50 pages. It's kind of meant as a supplement to the main H100 Plus manual, but that's online. We do have updated CAD files, which reflect the updated design changes, you know, that half or a quarter inch to a half inch width change. And you could actually use the existing SP100 Quick Start Guide because the parameters haven't really changed. Okay, besides adding the H100 plus functions, the basic features are all the same parameter groups. So you could use the existing Quick Start Guide. Just to show you guys our Solution Square, I'm going to click this link. Okay, so Solution Square is actually linked from our homepage. So if I go to our homepage, which is aliceelectricamerica.com, hopefully you guys know that, you go Service and Support, and you click Knowledge Base, that will redirect you to, let's see, where's the link here? Yeah, here it is. It'll redirect you to this page right here. So this is the main page right here. And you could just search on the top. You could search SP100. And it's going to come up with the newly released documents that I was mentioning, you guys. We got updated user manuals. We got updated schematics, the quick start reference, the CAD files, all that stuff. And we're going to put the submittal on here as well very soon. Okay. So that's all available to you guys. As far as updated marketing materials, so the previous slide was technical materials. We do have a low voltage drive series catalog. This is a pretty new catalog, maybe within the past month or so. We do have some printed copies, and we do have PDFs of that. We do have a new SP100 flyer, just like a little front and back 2-page flyer that we're developing. And we also are updating our basic VFD overview slides. So those are the slides we use just for like kind of like an hour and a half long introduction. So we're in the process of updating those slides. And then the last thing, if you consider this marketing material, is this presentation is being recorded, and we're going to upload it to YouTube. so you guys could share that with customers. So I'm going to open it up for questions, and before I open up for questions, I'm going to show you guys the new catalog that I was just alluding to. And just a reminder, you can always give us a call at the 800 number, 800-891-2941. And here's our group email. And I always recommend people call the main number in the group email, because we have like I think we're up to 5 guys now that could help you out instead of calling an individual person. This is the submittal. And again, this is something that people have been asking for a couple months. We didn't have all the drawings, we didn't have all the data, so it took us a while to get to this. So thanks for being patient. If you need this right away, as far as like I need it today, feel free to shoot us another email. I think I remember the 3 or 4 people that were asking for this, and we'll try to send that over. But we pretty much updated this to include the higher capacity drives. So let's see. This is just all the same stuff, but you can see the new H100 Plus based SP100 with the little heat louvers on the side. So this is an updated drawing here. We mentioned all the features. A lot of these are the same ones we mentioned in the slideshow I just showed you, but damper end switch, bypass run indication, all the stuff that the bid and spec guys are going to want to look at and compare to their specification needs. We got our basic block diagrams in here. We have a control diagram in here, as well as power. So you can see we go up to the higher capacities here. The 22 kilowatt, the 30, and the 40 horsepower drives are the new ones. So we updated this table as well. And it kind of goes on and on. I think this is like 20 pages or so. So there's a little bit of a preview of that. And then I also want to show you guys the catalog. So if you wanted to find the catalog, you can find it right on the solution square. So if you go to your main page here, and let's do VFDs. This cookie thing keeps popping up. And you could filter it down by product, or you could filter it down by both product and document type. So I'm just going to click catalogs, and I think it'll pop up. Yeah, so this LV Drive Series catalog. This is the new catalog, which I think if you guys are pushing VFD sales, I think you'll find this is a really good catalog. It's, I forget how many pages it is. Let's see if I drag it around. There we go, 44 pages. And this is only VFDs, including the updated SP100. And it shows all the capacity ranges of the M100 versus the G100 versus the S100, okay? All on one table. So micro drives, the full featured drives here, all the specs, what's the IO is all listed right here. Details on like what applications you'd use the M100 for, what are the features and the benefits, the model number breakdown. And we actually included all the item numbers. So those of you guys that place orders with us, you'll know that item number or order code always needs to be included on the PO. We even put the options in here, remote keypads and stuff. So I think this is a great, leap forward to make it easier kind of to do business with and easier to order products. Since this is SP100 focused, I'm going to scroll down to, there's H100 Plus. Should be, I think, this page here once it finishes loading. And let's see. Oh, IS7. Looks like it's after IS7. Here it is. So SP100 even says new right on there. So the new SP100, all the stuff we talked about, 3-contactor bypass, model number breakdown, and you're like, I want to make sure I'm ordering the right drive. Here's the updated item numbers and order codes for all the new SP100s, okay? You got your wiring diagram in here, your low voltage. So this is a nice catalog. This is, a nice marketing material that's kind of available to you guys as well. So I kind of wanted to just finish off by showing you guys that stuff. Well, thank you everybody for taking the time to listen in. I appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email, and have a good rest of the day and the rest of the week. Thank you, everybody. Bye.